Hey swimmers, welcome back to the SWIMVICE channel. This pro series is dedicated to Joseph Schooling's butterfly technique highlights in the 100-meter butterfly. I will first explain his breathing pattern and also his technique points throughout the entire event. Okay, so first I'm going to play this in full speed so you can see his breathing pattern, and he is in the middle lane, or you should say lane 2 of this frame. So for the first 50 meters, he mainly sticks to breathing every second stroke, and then it changes up on that final 50 meters. However, periodically he does breathe on twos. But watch how his breathing shifts on this final 50 meters. So he has a nice long underwater, starts with a first initial breath for 2, and then 2 again, and then it's every other stroke that he takes a breath, which is consistent with the first 50 meters until he gets with the final 15 meters right here is he starts to breathe every stroke right here, all the way until he finishes. So one of the reasons why he's able to maintain this pattern for the first 50 meters is because he has enough oxygen, enough energy, and by keeping his head down every other stroke also just minimizes drag and helps him stay in a much more streamlined position, even though he keeps his breath quick. Once he finishes his turn and he goes into that first initial stroke, which ends up being a breath due to holding his breath for so long, is towards the end, or the final 15 meters or so, he goes to breathe every stroke. And that's because at that point, he's able to keep it quick and still maintain form and also have enough energy to complete it. So that's why there's a change in his breathing pattern, and that works for him.
If you're new to the channel or you've been watching my content, be sure to hit the red subscribe button below. That way you stay notified for new content weekly, and you also show your support for the channel.
So now seeing his breathing pattern, I'm going to point out his technique points that are working really well in his favor. So right here, I want you to see how extended his body line is. And you can see that his arms are starting to skull just slightly out of the shoulder line. At this point, he's expanding and lengthening under his rib cage and his lats. That's providing him with a nice streamlined body position with minimal drag. This is key with butterfly because it's such a powerful stroke and it has a hinge-like motion from your hips that in order to generate as much streamlining as possible is that position specifically. This helps him move through the water quickly and also minimize drag. Now going back to the lengthening from his back and his rib cage, he's able to get into this position, which is a full catch with both arms, and look how high his elbows are formed. So he has a high elbow catch due to the position I freeze framed earlier. And so at this point, he's using his entire body, mainly his back, to be able to press and use as much of that catch as possible so he doesn't lose it. Typically what happens with those that are practicing butterfly or want to improve is they lose the catch, their elbows drop, and you're just essentially slipping in the water. But here he has a great hold of the water and he's using it entirely from his back and his lats to be able to hold that position. Now at this point, you can see that his arms are about to release, and I freeze frame this because at this very moment, he's extended his legs fully and he's completed his second kick, which propels his arms to exit the water. So his kick is powerful in order to release the arms all the way out of the water and go back to that starting position. So he's timed that perfectly. And you can see right here in this freeze frame how his legs are still fully extended and he's lengthening his body as much as possible. Zero disturbance. Then you see a full release and his arms are back to that starting position. Again, if you look here, look at the lengthening from his rib cage where his chest is pressed down, but he really feels that pulling underneath his rib cage and also full lengthening from his spine. At this moment, when he's swimming, he definitely can feel his hips are out of the water, if not right on the surface. And that's a really good feeling because you feel very light and you feel a minimal drag. And you feel a slight pike of your hips. That's another feel that you know that you're in the right position. And just repeat this again, he is taking a breath this time, but you see the timing of his kick lengthening with the release of his arm. At this moment, he's taking a quick breath and then bringing his head back down in position. And I mention this because breathing you want to keep as quick as possible, because if you take too long, then you're definitely not able to hold this position or you'll end up sinking. So if you're looking to improve your efficiency and get back to this position as you see here, you got to keep your breath quick. And also you can see his hips are out of the water at this moment. He's really sitting up as high as possible. And again, the higher you sit on the surface, the less drag you create, the lighter you swim, and the faster you swim. So you want to think about swimming fast as more about minimizing drag rather than just only power. So it's nice to see where his body position is as he finishes, so you can understand what I'm talking about. And even from this angle, you can see his whole body's in that streamlined position. He has a high elbow catch. Again, he's very consistent with his technique. He's a highly skilled athlete, obviously, but you can really see why it's working for him and really what's important. How are you going to move through the water quicker, with less energy? Yes, you are exerting energy, but you are compartmentalizing it for what matters. And in water, every little movement counts, more so than it is on land. And you can see here a nice quick open turn, tucks his knees in. You can see his feet are extended. Again, the quality is to minimize drag, keep it really quick off the wall so that he can get into that streamlined position, because ultimately when he pushes off the wall in a streamline, that's when he's the fastest, because he's not creating any drag. He's keeping a very streamlined position, as you see here. Right there, you see full body length of his arms, his legs, and his core all locked in, his glutes, everything as one solid unit. And that's what's helping him get a great underwater before his first breath. And here, look at this nice S curve. You see it from this angle, and I mentioned this before in earlier videos, is that he's using his entire body, pressing his chest down, lengthening from his back, and opening and extending his shoulders forward. And this is not stressful on the shoulder joint. So if you're practicing and you feel that there's pain in your neck and shoulders, you're definitely not using your core and your back as much as you should, as you see here. And you can see how consistent he is with using his entire body to stay as streamlined as possible. Now, if you're watching this video and you're looking to improve your swim technique, hit the pinned comments below and join my SWIMVICE program. You can also go to swimvice.com for more resources to help with your swim practice. And check out the online courses I have in the platform, which is Kickstart 1, Part 2, Turns, and also so much more. All right, swimmers, enjoy your practice, and I will see you all next week.